Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hire Moment Mastermind. I'm Sheer Lotzar, happen to be joined by my colleagues Vern Schellinger and Alki Thompson and Eve Wong, here to help your job search mosey along. So what we'll do is, as per usual, we'll do the open Q&A. I think most of you have been here more than once, so you know that flow. And then, time permitting, I'd love to see if we can do some breakouts and have you guys do some networking because we found that to be very successful. And networking is the way that many people get jobs these days. So it's a hugely important feature that we're trying to offer. All right. So with that, who would like to kick off a question on your heart and mind about any aspect of your search?
I'll start. I have a question. Hi. I've been doing a lot of networking calls, which has been going really well.
Good.
I'm getting a little burned out from them, and I'm wondering, is there like another kind of easier way to approach contacts where you're not actually setting up a call to talk to them, or do you just always kind of recommend that you try to make that sort of face to face, whether it be Zoom or some have been in person as well, contact? I'm just trying to see if there's another way it can be like really efficient and get out a bunch of like requests saying, "Hey, I'm job searching," without doing kind of all of the.
So here's what I would say, and then I'd love to have my other colleagues chime in here. I'm gonna break down this into the categories of efficiency versus effectiveness. And maybe that's all I have to say about that,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? Really, because you can get out a whole bunch of right. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, you kind of need to do that too, because there are a lot of people who just flat out need to know you're on the market. And they see it once and you never know. They happen to see an opportunity that second. Oh, hey, Holly, here's one, right? Um, so that certainly is fine. It's almost the equivalent of putting up the open to work banner, which we can talk about.
Yes.
We have different
Hmm.
opinions about that.
Hmm.
But the point is that visibility is important. It's the same equivalent, with a company that does a billboard on the hype. It's visible. A commercial, it's visible. Lots of people know about it. Now, it's very different than when you get on a call with a salesperson who actually starts to tell you about the product. Then you can ask questions and see, is it right for you? And I'm making that analogy because I liken job seekers to small businesses. You actually all are. You're Holly Inc. and Mark Inc. and Kim Inc. You just are because you're marketing yourself the same way that a small business would. You have to think about it from that perspective. And so there is the visibility, the marketing, if you will. Then there's the sales call, it's the actual, right, one-on-one. So in my mind, it's both and frankly, it's funny that you say you're getting a little tired of salespeople go through this all the time. Salespeople do business development. That is the job of a salesperson. Call
Yeah.
after call after call, relationship, Zoom calls and coffees and Starbucks and da 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 da, and go into a trade show and shake a hand and kiss the baby. And like that is what business development people do. They just haven't maybe a little more stamina for it because they're wired for that kind of work. That's why they went into
Hmm.
that profession. Most of you all are not in that world. So it can feel a little bit draining, especially if you're more introverted than extroverted, where if you don't get your energy from people, that can be a little bit much. So maybe put in some wellness guards around you. Like maybe it's certain times of day that you do it, and maybe you don't have X calls per day, you have Y calls per day. And maybe it's certain times of the week, right? Or mix it up. Like maybe there's a Zoom call here and a Starbucks coffee over there. And maybe so there are ways to do that for yourself. You have to think about for your own energy levels and habits and things to see what works for you. That's kind of my general, think about it. So anyway, that's my little speech. I'll know I start with a speech and then I let everybody else talk. So Eve,
Yeah.
Alfie,
Thank you.
Fern, what are your thoughts around this?
Holly, this is what I would say. I don't know that you're doing this, but if you're hitting it hard and furious, you're attacking it. It's okay to tell yourself, I can take a step back, I can do something for me, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. You're already expressing that you need to re-energize and you need to just break away from it. I know you're probably trying to get that job right away, and you're right, we all get into that panic mode, but you need to be mentally strong. You need to do for you, and if stepping away is what gets you there, then give yourself the space and grace to do that.
In the Navy, they say slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're in the job search, you really need to reach out to as many people as you can. And I've said this on this call a lot of times. The job search project that you're managing is the most difficult project you will ever manage because of just the way it happens. And the more people you reach out to, you just never know when that one person you reached out to is the person that, comes
Right.
and tells you about an opportunity that may be right for you. The other thing to think about, and I don't know, you may already be doing this, Holly, but I always stress, the foundational principle of context count is networking is about teaching and giving. So if you're in the job search and you're just reaching out to have people help you, teaching them about who you are and why you'd be qualified for a particular job or what you're looking for and what your skills are, you're teaching them a lot about yourself so that they could better maybe connect you to an opportunity. But the other part of networking is trying to give back to them. So you've got to take at least a little bit of time to learn a little bit about them and who they are. You can do that simply by looking at their profile on LinkedIn. You can do it by simply, asking them a couple of questions, yeah, as opposed to telling them everything about yourself and, ending the call and saying, well, get back to me if you know an opportunity. Um, you'll start to build more of a relationship if you ask them some questions about what they do and what they've been successful. Ask them if they've been through a job search before and what worked for them. So
And also what's going on in their
Okay.
lives, right? People have
yeah,
all
yeah,
kinds of needs, professional needs, personal needs. You never
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You could be referring somebody to their next dentist. I don't know. People have all kinds of
Mhm.
things that they
Yeah.
need. In fact, it's interesting, Vern, you said that you never know what's going to happen category. So I just little testimony to share from the other night. So as some of you know, I do a lot of presentations to job seeker groups here in the DMV. And so I was doing one, I don't know, maybe a month or more ago. Anyway, there was this woman, Tracy, who was on the call. She's an executive assistant. And as I do, and I'm happy to do this with all of you, I have 30-minute, complimentary calls that people can book with me, which a lot of people do. So anyway, she did one. We were just chatting about her job search. And then I'm not kidding you. After I got off the phone, I mean, maybe within a few hours, I saw a note on a listserv. I have an HR listserv that I've been running for a long time. It's just a bunch of HR people every day. They just talk to each other and whatever. And one of them happened to say that day, she happened to post, her name is Jody. She happened to post, she goes, "Hey everybody, I'm looking for an executive assistant. If anybody know, you know where I'm going with this. If anybody knows anybody," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I Tracy with Tracy. And I, put them in touch. And on Tuesday night, I did a presentation at the Career Network Ministry. Tracy was on the call and she says, "I got the job." It was like, right? I only say that, nothing to do about me. It's about this process, right? You never know. I'm not exposed to a lot of executive assistant stuff. And I introduce her, like there's a recruiter I know who does it, but you just don't know. So ask, tell, share, right? All of us have stories like that. Vern, what was the one sorry, we just got to tell the story again. We've told it 100 times, but I think it's such a cool one with, what is her name? I always forget her name.
I actually did a blog post on this recently. There was a woman on this call. Her name was Sandy. Um, she lived in Michigan, was searching for a job, didn't have any luck. She moved to Texas with friends of hers and searched when she was in Texas and didn't have any luck. Her son lived in Maryland and he said, "I've got this RV, Mom. Why don't you come here? You can live in the RV and, try a job search in DC." So she went to DC, reconnected with an old friend They went out to, the friend said, I want to go out to dinner and want to go to this restaurant. They were at the restaurant. Her friend started to feel ill, so they were going to leave. And as they were leaving, the band was coming in. And the band said, why are you leaving? We're going to play some great music. And, her name was Sandy. So Sandy says, well, my friend's ill and, I really, we really need to leave. And he says, well, why don't you stay? And so Sandy thought about it and she said, okay, I'll stay. She listened to the band. It was a great band. She had a great time. So she started to leave again. And the band said, well, why are you leaving so early? And she said, well, I'm kind of a nomad. Michigan, Texas, Maryland. I'm in the job search. I've got to get up and early in the morning and prepare for some interviews. One of the band members says, well, what do you do? She goes, I'm in accounting. Do you know QuickBooks? She said, yes. Here's my business card. Give me a call Monday morning. Called the business guy, called him Monday morning, met with the office manager. She started the job on Wednesday. So honest to God, you just never know.
You just don't know.
You just don't know where the
Tell
lead is
everybody.
going to come from. In my first job search, I didn't know the first thing about networking. I was terrible at networking. I kept, I'd replay the conversations in my mind driving home from a meeting saying, oh God, I forgot to say this. I should have said that. That sounded awkward. How can I better, promote myself? And finally, someone said, you ought to call this particular person. I had the conversation with her and she was about to hang up the phone and she said, oh, wait a minute. I did just talk to an executive search person in New York City who's looking for this type of a job. And I called that executive search person and I landed the job. So,
You don't know.
you just don't know. And I know it's exhausting. It's just, it's not fun because, you're reaching out asking for help with a lot of people, but until we find a better way to, unless there's some magic that we can put together to make this job search easier,
Well,
it is what it is.
so you know what? There's a lens here that I've been recently sharing with people. I'm hoping this is helpful for you, Holly. When you think about all the calls you're making, right? Part of what makes it exhausting, I think, is because a lot of us feel like we're asking for something. So I'm going to use my open hand as the metaphor here. Okay. If you have your hand out as a job seeker, a lot of us feel, well, I'm asking for you to put something in my hand. Give me a job. That's exhausting. More and more. Oliver Twist asking for more gruel. More. I want you to think of your open hand a little differently. I want you to think of it as you're offering something. You're offering yourself. You're offering the divine gifts and talents that you've been given to serve and bless people. Okay. When you go with that mindset, it's an entirely different conversation. Now it's who can I help? Who can I serve? Who can benefit from the skills that I have been given? You go in with that mindset, all of a sudden, now it's a big adventure. It's like, ooh, who can I help? Can I help? And you never know, right? When you are talking to people, who's going to benefit from your particular skills for themselves, or who is going to know of somebody who could benefit from those skills. And that's the kind of stuff that we've been talking about here, right? Whether it was the Tracy example with the thing I happen to know, or Vern's like, oh, Sandy, that band person was obviously looking for the accountant for his business. I think he was like in a medical office or something, as I remember. I don't know. Like, what are the chances that he would meet Sandy at a jazz band? If he had been looking for, think about it from his perspective. We don't really talk about this. He's the employer. He was doing some fishing himself. He was probably going around and he probably didn't want to post a job on LinkedIn. He probably didn't know. He's an employer. He didn't want to spend all his money, right? Hiring. And look, providentially, he meets this person who can solve his business challenges. So she was offering herself to him, and he could benefit from her skills. Does this make sense? If you flip the mindset, think about the employer, think about the people who need your help. It's not about the food on your table, as important as that is. That's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about, we have business goals. Who can help us fulfill it? I have somebody on this call, I'm not going to name names, but there's an individual on this call who I talked with yesterday. who got this random outreach from somebody on LinkedIn, and this person is an attorney and found the person on this call on LinkedIn and said, hey, random stranger, right? Said, hey, so and so, hey, my client has a need for this particular, function. It was a compliance thing. Said, hey, can you help us? Only because this person had a good, solid LinkedIn profile with all the right keywords in there. This other random stranger whose client has a need found this individual on this call right now, okay, and said, hey, is there a possibility? And right now they're going to hopefully have some conversations about that. Okay. So I say that because you just don't know. When you're out there and you're visible, either people can find you or you're having a networking call and say, hey, I can help in this way. Who needs my help? Does this make sense? You're helping and you're serving people with the gifts that you've been given. All right, end of speech. Kim.
I was going to add to that. They covered a lot. The networking part. The book that I'm writing right now is actually for the stressed out, the tired, the exhausted job seeker. But that point about going to a coffee, a concert, a barbecue, things happen in those places as well. But for Holly and everybody, as we're not just talking to Holly here, we're talking to everybody on the call. There's boot camp, the boot camp mindset, and then there is burnout. Burnout is real. And so I think I'm really big on your health and your wellness. Despite the job search, you do have to call a timeout every now and then to take a break. I'm writing in my book, change your scenery, take a walk, go to a different coffee shop, go to a different side of town, try something completely different. I know you were asking Holly about, if you're doing some of the same things and becomes monotonous. Some people, they believe in, just keep doing it, keep making those calls, keep doing it 1,000 times. Yeah, it might work sometimes, and it does, and sometimes the numbers count because you do never know, as they just said. But it's also good too to turn it off, take a walk, take a breather,
Yes.
or try a different approach, which we don't have enough time to talk about on this call. But I'm a big believer too. And yeah, you're not going on. Well, let me back up. So as recruiters and salespeople or headhunters, there's some staffing firms, and I've done this in my years of becoming more of a slowed down targeted headhunter. There were times in my career where it was about making dials. At one place, we had to make 200 dials a day for business. And that's not how I operate. It's not how I operate, best, but I did it. I have some of that training. I'm a former athlete, former coach. I can go hard when I need to, but then not everybody's wired that way. You don't feel like that every day. Some days you wake up and you don't want to do that, and that's perfectly fine. And you might just bump into somebody when you're not even looking, which is where a lot of opportunities come up, which is what they just mentioned. So I think it's definitely about that balance for you, what works for you, knowing yourself. There are some times where you don't feel like it, and you have to get up, you have to make those calls. But I think you do need to pay attention as well to yourself, your body, your energy, your time, because sometimes you do need a bit of a change. So it's a balance, but it's what's most important is what works for you. Find what works for you and take those breaks when you need them.
Yep.
Alki, if I could jump in here, even athletes need a recovery day in their routine and in their workout. So it's no different.
That's right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for me, I'm just coming off a 1 month break of networking because I got so bogged down. And it's funny because people kind of, and I give them grace because I'm in the same situation, but I try to, keep it under wraps as far as like controlling it. But like people will go on tangents and they'll think it's a venting session. And I get it. Like I said, I'm there too. But it's just like a lot to take in. So I had to take a break from that. And I'm like to say that I'm a problem solver. So if you come to me with a problem, I want to give you a solution and keep it moving. So, and I like that exchange. So, yeah. So what I've done now is when I send my meeting invites to someone, this is like a brand new person I've never spoken with before. is to give them bullet points of what we're going to talk about. And, it's no hard or fast rule, but like a little bit of direction. So it's not just well, when I was born and kind of go from there, because 30 minutes goes like that and 45 minutes, let alone goes like that. So, for me, I'm going to try this taking more control of the conversation, and just still be obviously empathetic because it's rough out here. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Kim, because the way we show up in networking calls matters, right, to the other person. And so it is important, I think what you're, wisely suggesting is that we maximize the other person's time too, and that we make sure that we're focused in what we're sharing, what we're asking, what we're giving, that we don't go on a lot of tangents, that we keep things, I mean, there's a little personal, I think is nice, just sort of build rapport, right? But for the
Yeah.
most part, we keep this professional and we make sure that it's positive. And we make sure that it's more windshield than rear view mirror, right? Forward, encouraging, thoughtful, concise, right? Because we do need to be respectful of folks' time. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's great.
So let me give you an example of you just never know. Okay, so Kim, is this the first time you've been on the call?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Welcome.
Okay, so you're from Chicago. Okay, so I know a person who has a business in Chicago, and I don't know if they're looking for an office administrator, but I know this person well enough, good friend. I'll reach out to him and find out. Maybe a dead end, but again, this could be an example of,
You never know.
because you're on the
Yeah.
call and because I'm here, it could
Absolutely.
happen. So,
Yeah, thank you. I would totally appreciate that. And
yeah.
I love to reciprocate if anything I can support with anybody. I like to say I know random things, so it might not even be work related, but thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's do this because I do want to spend some time doing the networking breakouts where we're going to put you guys in breakout rooms. But let's just make sure we get one more question in because I know we've talked a lot about networking today, but we can talk about anything. This group is an open Q&A for any job search question. Is there any other kind of question that you guys would like to address before we do the breakouts? And Erin.
Yeah, good morning, Shira and everyone. I have two questions, but I'll just do one for now.
Okay.
I applied for a job recently at my alma mater, and I think I know I'm a really good fit, although I'm overqualified. And I'm trying to do some networking, like reaching out to some professors I know. I always hesitate a little bit to reach out directly to the hiring manager, even though I've met him. And he used to be the chief of where I was working in Switzerland, although we didn't overlap. But definitely a good fit. But I don't know, I feel like I should reach out,
Let me
and I don't
let
know
me give you a
exactly.
practical one for that. And this is
Yeah,
only because you already know him.
yeah, a little bit, at
Your
least.
acquaintances, something,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay, it's legit.
Mhm.
So I actually just gave this example the other night. That's actually happening on my desk right now because I'm doing a search, and I had three final candidates who were all going in for interviews this week during a final round, right? Or kind of final round. Anyway, last minute, the other night, the hiring manager calls me and says, "Hey, somebody I used to work with reached out to me, saw the job. Shira, is it too late to slip this person in?" I said, "Nope, not too late." Literally, I was that night. The next morning, 8:30, I got in touch with the guy. I'm like, "Hey, can you talk to me at 10 o'clock?" He said, "Yes." As we were finishing the call, I put him on mute, called the hiring manager, said, "Hey, can you meet with him this morning?" Actually, right this minute. He just 10 minutes ago, he started the panel interview. Okay. That's because he knew the hiring manager and reached out, and she reached out to me. Got it?
So the
Yes.
answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Please, please, please. Look, hiring managers particularly want to consider people that are in their personal network. It's important to them that if at all possible, that they can bring somebody in that they already know, like, and trust. Really, really huge. So I think he or she, I forget you said, he will be very, very pleasantly surprised when you reach out. Now, that doesn't mean to say for other people on the call that you can't reach out to a hiring manager, it's a little bit, right? It's delicate. It's very delicate. I'm not saying, oh, talk to everybody. These days, I've changed my tune more in terms of what's appropriate versus not. Years ago, I was one like, oh, stay away from the hiring manager. You know, they want to protect themselves from everybody and go through the process and go through the channels. I'm less that way now because there's just so much activity going on. There's so much competition and it's just so crowded, right? You kind of need to make yourself stand out. So I am less about protocol these days and chain of command and all that. I'm much more about, hey, I'm here. You may not have been able to find me otherwise, because a lot of hiring managers who have a recruiter or have an HR department that's doing all the screening, those people are doing a lot of searching on the job boards. The job boards are ridiculously crowded these days.
Mhm.
The hiring manager, the recruiter, the HR person is having such a tough time finding you in the morass of the 1,000 applications that they're getting. Walk a mile in their shoes for a minute. They can't find you. You might be the best candidate in the world, but you are person 500, literally 500th on the list, because you applied 2 days after the job posting. I'm not kidding. 2 days after the job posting is too long. An hour into the job posting is okay. That's how fast people are applying for these things. So you might be the most amazing candidate, but unless they know about you, oftentimes they can't even consider you. So taking the extra step, reaching out to the hire appropriately, you can do, you know, with a LinkedIn, you just do a little note, you know, about you never know. Maybe they see the LinkedIn, maybe they click on your profile, maybe they're like, oh, she looks great. And then goes to the hiring manager and say, hey, would you please check this person out? You don't know. So these days, I think all bets are off. I think people need to go be proactive.
Thank you, Sharon. That's such a clear yes. And I just wanted to say, like, I do have his email. I can reach out to him directly. And I was wondering, like, should I send my CV? What's the appropriate
Yes,
thing? You know,
yes,
should
yes,
I
yes,
say
yes.
why I'm such
Yes,
a good candidate
the
or
whole thing, the whole
all
thing.
that
Yep,
stuff?
saw the
Okay.
posting. I was so pleasantly surprised, so and so, that you were the hiring manager. Oh my gosh, I remember when, you know, I
Here's
finally
why I'm a
remember our
perfect
time.
match.
Yeah, think that could be a great
Okay.
match. Love to be considered for this. Here's my CV. Da, 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 da. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That
I'm going to do it after this
Oh
call.
yeah, yeah.
that part, the first a key word Shira mentioned was appropriate. She did say, yeah, throw out the playbook, but at the same time, she still dropped the word appropriate because there's still process. There's
Sure.
appropriate, there's respect.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the tenor of the way she just did that email too, it had some warm dripped in as opposed to I'm shoving my resume in your face. I don't care if you're with your kids at your kid's soccer game or whatever. There's still a warm way to
Yes.
do
Yeah.
it, but to work the magic. The last thing I'll say too that Shira was talking about, and we talk about it on this call. I mean, the call is higher moment mastermind. We could talk about that all day, but it's a mindset shift, especially nowadays. So she talked about visibility and the 500 and 1,000 other people who are applying. So nowadays, hopefully everybody, and it's okay if you're not because you're learning it on this call. Hopefully you know nowadays AI, all this stuff, your number a million in the applicant process or 70,000 or 80,000 or 400 or 200 or whatever. So just sitting at the computer and applying is not efficient. It's not the way. It definitely doesn't need to be the only tool in your toolkit. So the mindset shift is like us salespeople, and Shira talked about it, decision makers. That's who we talk to. Yeah, we'll talk to the HR person if we need to. We go the appropriate route, the appropriate steps. You know, even if we know a decision maker, they'll say, "Hey, call Terry, call Sally." Yes, we'll call Terry and Sally because they're the ones who set up the appointment and work the calendar. But our mindset is, I only want to talk to the people who make the real decisions. And that's your mindset. To Shira's point about you have something to give, you have something to offer, you have something to sell. You don't really have time to talk to the doorman, but you do need to get in the door. So you have to be nice to the doorman. But at the end of the day, the person you're wanting to talk to is hiring manager, other person who makes decision in the process. And that's who you need to be thinking that you need to connect with.
Yeah, so helpful. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Monica.
Well, thanks. I have a related question. I was in a different networking group about a week ago, and somebody told me about a job that I seem like a good fit for. I probably wouldn't have run across. It has to do with immigration and touches on military allies, which is something I'm very interested in. And so I've been sending LinkedIn DMs to people who work there who went to my colleges. And so I've gotten some good responses back. But then one of them gave me the email for someone in HR. And so I'm going to do something, but I'm just like wondering what to do. Because I mean, I just send the whole application again, or just say, so and so said I should reach out for
Yeah,
questions.
that right there. Hold on, pause there, Monica. I want everybody to hear that piece of it. So and so suggested that I reach out. Let that hang in the air for a second. Don't blow by what this is.
Okay.
That's the warm referral. That's the warm connection. That's the appropriate way to name drop. If there is any time, I've got to be so slow and clear about this. Please listen. If there is any time in your job search that you can ever say, so and so referred me, that will have them at hello. Employers love when somebody refers a person in, and you can put that name down. They will stop in their tracks they'll pause for a second, go, oh, they're not just a random person off the street. They were referred by the network. It will usually get them to actually take another look.
And then what kind of question should I ask? I mean, I can see on LinkedIn that it was re-advertised like a day after I applied. So they probably, I mean,
Haven't found the right person. Well, look,
yeah,
I mean, if HR people tend to be the sort of the repository for these things, right? They're sort of vetting. So I think
right.
it's perfectly fine to say, so and so referred me, very strong interest in your mission. Don't go on and on about that, just like a one-liner. That's the other thing with these emails that people scan, they don't read, they don't have time. So never,
Right.
never, never give a long dissertation about what you're doing and all the things. Just very quick, very poignant. You can use AI if you want to help make it, condensed and
Yeah.
concise.
But should I
Um,
send the whole application
yeah,
again, or should I, huh?
sure. Just attach
Yeah.
it. Well, I
Oh,
mean, Alky's
Alfie's
shaking his
shaking
head.
his head.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, attaching a cover letter and a resume, would be perfectly fine. And then also say, I have also applied through the proper channels.
Yeah.
I've also applied on your website. That's where I'm going with
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also sent a digital portfolio, and so I have two cover letter formats, and who knows which one is effective, but I have one where I tailor it like a table, saying you asked for this, and I have it, and so that's a longer format, and the other one is more, why you, why me, why now, and so I don't know which one is better, but I did send a longer cover letter, so
I think that's fine.
What,
Yeah, go on, Alky.
oh, no, you get your thought out.
No, I think just that idea of just the quick attachment, just so that they see it and they can open it right away. But to also say, I also applied through proper channels, because a lot of the larger companies need you to be part of their applicant tracking system. So just
Okay.
say, I have already done this, but I'm also, for your convenience, I'm attaching my cover letter and resume.
When you mention HR as a person, I know Vern worked in HR as well. Me having sat in HR and worked before, just to level set for everybody, I think everybody knows this too. Just because somebody also says, especially when it's HR, when you hear, oh yeah, talk to HR, send it to HR. Sometimes that means bye bye. I'm not going to deal with it. That's where it's supposed to go. I can't help you. Or you know what? Call HR. And to level set, you could call HR and they could go, no, you're a no. Or the position's closed, or yeah, you got to go apply. If you applied, yeah, that's all we can do for you. So just a level set, that's that. But in case, to Shira's point, if you ever get anybody who says, talk to this person, absolutely let them know, because a lot of times they're buried in paperwork. When you call or reach out or whatever, they have no idea. But if you mention that name to lead off,
The
that's your
name.
key to say,
Yes.
okay, well, I'm still going to reject you, but if nothing else, I'll give you, at least I'll hear you out and hear what's going on. To add to that, if you can ask that person who referred you, okay, thanks, I'll talk to John. And by the way, should I give John anything or any questions I should ask him? That's another way to work those leads too, is not just talk to John. Okay, thanks, I'll talk to John. No. And is there anything I should let John know? Should I give him my resume? What should I do? Get some instructions. Sometimes they'll tell you, you know what? That's right. John's not in this week. Here's his cell number. You never know, but just by asking that person what you should do with that lead also helps you, because you may reach out and can't find them or whatever the case, or they may give you an inside scoop. Like, you know what? Lisa's not there today, but Todd is there. And I tell you what, I'm going to text them ahead of time and let them know that you're calling.
And
Yeah,
by the
well,
way,
I just got the email for HR, and then the email said, to direct my questions to, this. And so I did not think to say, well, what should I ask? That seemed like a little, I don't know. I just been thinking
With
about, like, what question would I ask? I only applied a week ago.
yeah.
I mean, this is, we're not going to do this all on this particular call. We're happy to chat offline about this a little deeper. But when it comes to HR, I can say though, 90% of the time, unless somebody really tells you, like, yeah, let me connect you with John in HR, usually it's going into the HR abyss or process. It's going to the process. You're not going to talk to anyone. That 90% of the time with HR, it's
Right. They don't
go
talk to
apply, process.
Right.
And so
That's
if
exactly.
you're ever connected with HR, everybody on the call, you got to know in your mind, this is just going to process. So if you're going to get sent by somebody on the inside to HR, ask them, hey, if I know HR, I know that's the process. Okay, I'll do that. But is there anybody there in particular that you could recommend that I speak to in HR or something to that effect? Just so you can find out, is this, for level setting expectations, is there anything I'm going to get out of this, or is this just more process? Because
Well,
when it comes to HR, a lot of times you're not going to get anything out of that other than just processing what you said, which is, yep, go apply. Oh, you already applied. That's what you're supposed to do. Just wait. We'll get back to you.
so it's not, it is process there, but there's one extra thing. It's flagging your candidacy. That's the thing about HR. You got to be flagged. They're probably not going to talk to you. But if you mention I was referred by so-and-so, it goes ding, they go reach into the applicant tracking system and pull you out for extra consideration. That's usually the most that you can expect from it. Does that make sense? Then you're not just a random person off the street. Somebody thought that you would be good. Okay, HR, go pull my resume. All right. So with that, oh, Mark, you had a question.
Yeah, there's one last question. What are some more unconventional ways to reach out to people? There's, just incidental running into people and just chatting on the street. As far as reaching out to people, okay, like you mentioned before, efficiency doesn't always equal effectiveness, but if there are efficient ways to reach out that actually grab people's attention, that might be a little bit more effective than just, a mass email blitz.
Sure.
What are some,
one
what
thing
are
you can
some,
do, there's all kinds of things, I think, but one thing you could do, which I think is the road less traveled, is to look on LinkedIn for groups that are in your profession or in your sector. So literally go into all that you would do is you'd go into the search bar, the upper left-hand corner, you type in your profession or type in your sector or both, hit enter. Then there's a groups button, not a people button, the groups button. The group people button is just to look for names. The groups button will come up with all kinds of groups. You never know. Join that group. Now that you've joined that group, you have the right to reach out to people. So now you can be much more targeted in your outreach to say, oh, well, we're part of the same community. So that could be an efficient way to leverage LinkedIn. Not to mention actual associations, membership
Yes.
associations, not LinkedIn, right? That are in your profession, in your sector. There are a lot of local chapters, great way that's efficient and effective because you can physically show up and you're
Right.
swimming
Or
with the
just
fishies,
right. Or crash their events if you
100%.
can't afford to join the organization.
Well, just, or we'll pay the
Yeah.
registration fee, but yes, do a one-off, right? Sure, you don't have to join. You can just go to, event by event. Sure.
Dara, if I could,
Sorry. I was just going to say really quickly, a lot of associations will do a free day, so to speak, for new membership. So like PMI for project managers does it. I'm sure others where you can go in, check it out, see if you want to be a member. That's
Oh,
all.
and sometimes people will have a break for job seekers. I know, Vern, remember at HRLF, there was like a period of time where we were in a recession and they just did a freebie for all unemployed people for a while. So that can happen. So what you may want to do, get on the website, the local chat, not the national group, the local chapter, if they have one in your area, and reach out to the membership chair, right? Or the president, right? It's just a local chapter. They're usually very open, like, hey, looking to check out your chapter. I'm in job transition. Money's kind of tight. Would you mind comping me this first meeting? Or do you have any special discounts for people in transition? Just ask. A lot of times people will be generous about that. Yeah, offer a gift card to an HR person for 15 minutes of their time. That's nice.
I was following up on Monica's point about create. There's a lot of creative ways. That's another whole call too. That's networking, but that's another whole call about creative ways to even approach people who are in positions of hiring and all of that.
Exactly.
Not bribery, but
we had somebody in our CNM accountability group that shared. He was a salesman, and he did very well in his career, but he was trying to work for Nike, and he just could not make those inroads. No matter, he was trying to work his network and he couldn't quite do it. So what he did is he sent somebody in a higher level position one shoe. Sent him a box of one Nike shoe. Guy opens it. He's like, "What? Why one shoe?" And there was a note in it and said, "I'm just trying to get my foot in the door." He got the job.
That's great.
Creative marketing,
That's
right?
great.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
especially in this crowded job market right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody looks the same. Everybody's doing the exact same things. You have to stand out.
I know of a young guy I was coaching a few months ago. He's in the commercial real estate world. He's in the tenant leasing side, and he wanted to get into asset management. He found this company that has this location in Texas or something. Found out that they've like this great reputation. He proactively writes a letter to their CEO. Young guy. I mean, like he's 20 nothing, like he's young, right? And he wrote this letter to the CEO, a whole dissertation on like why he's so interested in them. And he even offered to work for them for free for 3 months. Kid you not. Kid you not. They reached out to him. Sure enough, they had the right opportunity and they hired him. And he started a couple months ago. Like you just don't know. But if you are proactive, that's great. What Eve was talking about. Think creative. What can you do to be out of the box? Not the normal protocol, something outside. If you're really interested in that organization, the mission aligns or something about them or whatever, just think, what can I do? Maybe there's something on the LinkedIn profile, something you read. Use AI. Ask it and say, look, I'm trying to get into this company. I really have a passion for. What's the creative thing I could do? What's a hidden fact about them or something that aligns with my background? Or you never know, right? To just get really creative. People like out of the box. They do. All right, with that, let's see if we can use our remaining time. Okay, so to do this kind of effectively, not just efficiently, we'll go quickly around the room, and I'd like for you to share what I call your lane in your community. Your lane is what you do. It's your profession. You're a marketer. You're an attorney, whatever you are. And your community is the sector that you serve. It's, commercial real estate, it's government contracting, it's banking in Mark's case, whatever the thing is. So your lane is what you do, your community is who you do it for. Very, very quickly. No backstory or anything. Just say that very fast because I'm going to take a couple of notes and then I'm going to try to put you into the right breakout rooms with people who are kind of in a similar world, if at all possible. All right. So Victor and then Tim and then Mark.
Hi, my name is Victor Tao. I've been a pen tester for a while, and that's what I'm trying to stick with. Uh, what community or it could be private or it could be public or government contracting. No, it doesn't matter.
And
Mhm.
I'm so sorry, I didn't get the word. Did you say apprenticer?
No, pen tester, penetration tester.
I'm so sorry, I'm not familiar with that. Is that in the technology? I'm ignorant
Yeah,
about it.
yes,
Is that in
yes, yes,
technology?
yes.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Sorry.
Yeah, like cybersecurity.
Cyrus, thank you. Thank you. Okay, got it.
Right.
All right, Tim?
I'm Tim Jack. I do program financial planning and analysis, probably GovCon, especially if the ICE appropriation gets passed next week.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, I'm Mark Pretzat. I'm an attorney. I advise banks and bank trade associations in regulatory areas affecting bank operations.
Mark, Felipe, and then Holly.
Okay, thanks. I'm in communications and public affairs. My community was government contracting. Given the uncertain state of affairs, that community, I'm looking at social impact-based nonprofits.
Thank you. All right, Holly.
I'm an health and aging policy analyst, and my community is nonprofit and the public sector.
Great. All right, Kim, and then Monica.
I'm Kim. I am operations HR support, and my community would be, I'd say, professional services.
Nice. All right, and then rounding this out, Alex,
Yeah.
Erin, and then Fatima.
So I'm in IT, network, and tech support. The community would be the IT industry.
Got it. Thank you. And then Fatima, are you with us?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm sorry. I think that there's an echoes. So I am. I've been in real estate for the past couple of years and just transitioning into cybersecurity. And currently just seeking into GRC and as well as ISSO and cybersecurity.
okay, great. And by
Sorry,
the way, Fatima, you showed up twice. I'm going to remove the other one of you
Okay.
so that you don't have the, okay, we're keeping that one.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
There we go.
fabulous. All right, so I'm going to do my best here to get you guys into the right. Monica, did you have something to share while I'm doing that?
You skipped me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Monica. I apologize, not intentional.
Yeah, you called my name and then you moved
And then
on.
it just went. Sorry. I've
don't-
been shifting screens. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so I'll just introduce myself. I'm Monica Jereby. I'm a marketing and communications professional whose work helps vulnerable people in crisis and builds trust, drives action, and secures funding. I've supported 2 billion in funded proposals and more than a dozen national and international campaigns. I'm Monica Jereby. I see Erin has her hand raised too.
Yeah, no, that's great. Please. In fact, keep talking because I have to do all my assignments here with you guys.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Erin. I'm a public health specialist with a focus on women's and children's health, especially maternal and newborn health. And my community is nonprofit, social impact, United Nations, public sector, flexible in that sense.
Excellent. Great. All right. So I am going, I'm trying to scratch my head and rub my tummy all at the same time. So I am going to do this as quickly as I can. Just give me a little grace here. If you want to sing the Jeopardy song, you are certainly welcome to do that. Let's see. I'm going to try my best. Let's do that, and then let's do. And then, okay. All right, I'm going to put you all in here for 10 minutes and then just go back and forth a little bit, who you are, what you're looking for, what a good job search lead for you would be, and see if you can get some connections with each other. Make sure that when you're listening to the other person, be thinking, who do I know that could be a good referral for this person? Write that down. grab their information, right? Make sure that you exchange email information. And then as soon as the call is done, please, please, please follow up with the person and start making those introductions. It's very important that the follow-up happen because I know people have a lot of good intention on these calls, right? But then we get busy afterwards. So really make sure that you do some follow-up. All right. So we'll bring you in there get you in there for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back. All right. There you go. And Alex. Good. All righty. So going to pause
Things is getting creative. If you haven't, showing your merchandise, like nowadays, I think of staffing firms like consignment. Like every now and then, you don't do this all year, but hey, you tried to sell your 1970s record player to this one consignment shop. They didn't take it back in January, but maybe roll back through and circle the staffing firms. That's another way just to get on their radar because things may have changed with them since January. They may not have needed you. They may have had 80 people just like you. But now they may be like, you know what? I did just get an opportunity because a lot of times opportunities rotate. So staffing firms, you may not do it all year round, but if you haven't done it in a while, it might be good just to get in front of them again, even if you've been there before, just to go, hey, Jack, just cycling back to see if there's anything, just like a thrift store, pawn shop, you roll through, just seeing what you guys got today, just showing you what I got, seeing what you guys got.
I have one quick questions. If you have been referred, by a friend and you haven't heard back almost for a month from the recruiter, what are your thoughts about that? Is this something that you have to follow up, or just something you don't want to sound too desperate, but at the same time, this is something I would love to get your feedback from there.
Yeah, it's not about desperation. The employer doesn't think like that. They think about qualified candidates. So it could be that your resume got lost in the shuffle. That does happen. I mean, look, some people's emails go into spam. Like you never know, right? Maybe your friend forgot to recommend you. A month is a bit long because searches kind of run through a cycle. By that point, they're often in their final level interviews. You still can and probably should reach back out and say, hey, wondering what happened there. But in general, if somebody is going to refer you in and you haven't heard back, and I would say like a week and a half, I would go ahead and ping the person again. It's not about desperation. It's just making sure that they know that you are available, that the right person has been alerted. It's very important. In fact, I meant to mention this earlier. There's a recent kind of an adjacent story here. I don't know, several weeks ago, somebody in my network, a woman named Diane, she's found that this happens a lot, right? Hey, Sharon, I noticed you're connected to Susie Cream Cheese at this association. I noticed that on LinkedIn. Like that happens to us all, right? So she's like, hey, can you put in a word? Well, okay, I did. I recommended her to somebody in that organization, not HR. I didn't know HR. I knew some other woman. Well, it was really interesting because I referred her in, but then all of a sudden Diane gets this rejection. Before my friend got to refer her in, she got a rejection note. And I was like, oh, very interesting. So I wrote to my friend, and my friend had not yet like put it. So she put it in. She got an interview. She got the automatic rejection from HR. Once my friend got to actually put her in, then she got the interview. So just because you get rejected doesn't mean anything. It could just mean the applicant tracking system kicked you out. Somebody just didn't see what they needed to see. But if a real person flags you, that can make all the difference. So anyway, it's all about referrals today and like how important the networking is. All right. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap up today. For those of you who would like to stay on the call for a short prayer call, you're certainly welcome to do that. And feel free to refer your friends to our little illustrious group. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Okay.
Take care, everybody.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Good weekend all.